Hello. It's currently like 12:00 something. It's like 12:03. Just turned 12. But I have my breakfast here, and today is day 62 or no 61. I don't know what I'm talking about. I was 163.4 pounds this morning. And today I'm gonna have like a big breakfast because I'm gonna try and go to the gym at 4 so that I can basically be able to go to the movies at 8:20 and do that. But the reason I'm kind of in a rush is because I have a Texas history assignment due tonight. So if I eat right now and then in the time that I have, or it's 4, I can finish my assignment hopefully. So yeah, that's basically my plans for the day. So what's it called? I also work tomorrow, so I don't want to be asleep too late. So I probably won't post today's video today, but I will tomorrow. So here's the macros for my big breakfast. Here's the oatmeal bowl, and let me show y'all. Here's my bread, my turkey bacon, my cheese, my 4 eggs, 84 grams of egg whites, spinach, this insanely delicious looking yogurt bowl, and then my peanut butter. So yeah, I think that is it for now. But yeah, hopefully, I think I'm gonna like set a timer for 2 hours and hopefully have it done by then if I just focus and stay off my phone. So yeah, I'll see y'all when I am. Who knows what I'll be doing actually? Because considering this is like the only meal that I'll have today besides dinner, I might buy stuff at the movie theaters. So who knows? Goodbye. Oh my gosh, bro. Okay. So I'm just warning y'all now. This dinner meal is ludicrous. All right, and that's like probably the 20th, sub 20th time I've ever used that word in my existence on this planet. But let me explain how we got here real quick though. So basically, after I had breakfast, also I didn't go to the movies today. After I had breakfast, because my mom took the car, so then I realized my mom was taking the car, and then I just went upstairs, and I didn't make my oatmeal at the time. Obviously I still included it in my breakfast because like that was still my breakfast, but I was working on his Texas history assignment, and then I was like tired, so I was like, all right, let me just finish the essay part, do my sources, and then come down, eat my oatmeal, and then just take a nap basically until 6. And so that's what I did. So I didn't have my second meal, and it was kind of intentional because obviously I had a ton of calories. I had 1,500 calories left for the day, which is what I'm filling with this meal. But yeah, so I ended up going to the gym at like 7-ish. And I also went to HEB after because I had to get a bunch of stuff. So I got more Catalina Crunch, I got bananas, I got more turkey bacon, I got more raspberries, I got more seasoning. What else did I get? I think that's it. And then, so basically, I saw this cereal, right? Like on the shelf near the Catalina Crunch. And it's 220 calories for 60 grams, and I think Catalina Crunch is like 110 calories for 36 grams. So I don't know, like gram for gram, I don't know which one has more calories. But I just assumed they were somewhat the same. I'll probably put up right now which one is more calorie dense. But there was a coupon for that cereal that basically said if you buy a 12-pack of this like soda, you get a free box of cereal. And I fell for it. So I am gonna be drinking this. I've never heard of this brand. It had to be the 12-pack, and the 12-pack only had like Coke flavor and like ginger ale flavor, and I just don't like those. So this one is Dr. Zevia, which is, I'm assuming, a Dr. Pepper like replica, I guess. But yeah, anyways, that's what I'm drinking for this. It's 0 calories, 0 sugar, so I hope, I mean, I don't know, I'm not like against diet soda or anything, but anyways, yeah, that's how we got here. So here's the macros for this meal, and let me show y'all my gluttony incarnate. 2 glizzies, all right, that you've seen enough. Yogurt bowl, peanut butter, and that's all of it, which is, you know, it's okay though, because I'm 99.99% sure I'm within my calories. And yeah, I have work tomorrow, so I have to eat this, to quickly read, and then take my booty to bed after I shower. I think I'm gonna shower and then read, or read, shower, and then talk about what I read. But yeah, so I'll see y'all when I'm doing that. Goodbye. Okay, so I have let me focus, jeez. So I read Numbers chapter 13 and 14, and these were 2 more interesting chapters, and basically the Israelites are fumbling the bag once again. So chapter 13 starts with the 12 scouts. The Lord says to Moses, send men to reconnoiter. I'm gonna use a different word because I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but basically scout out the land of Canaan, which is the promised land that the Lord said that he would lead the Israelites to, and, you know, basically help them conquer anyone who's inhabiting those lands. And so the Lord tells Moses to send like 12 men, 1 from each ancestral tribe, and everyone has to be a leader among those tribes. And so Moses sent all of them, and then it lists all these people, right? But the only 2 that you need to know, basically, and you'll see why you only need to know these 2 of the leaders, is Joshua and who's the last one? Joshua and Caleb, I'm pretty sure, are the 2 like scouts that you need to remember. So anyways, they go out, scout the land. Moses, and, like, you know, he instructs them to basically scout out the land and bring back fruits of the land, and basically just report on the people who are there, whether they're strong or weak, whether the land is fertile or barren, you know, stuff like that. And so they go out for 40 days and they scout, and they come back and they tell them basically that the soil is fertile. Well, I'll just tell you. So the next part is called their report. So it says they returned from scouting the land for 40 days, proceeding directly to Moses and Aaron and the whole community of Israelites. And they made a report to them and to the whole community, showing them the fruit of the land. So they brought grapes, figs, and something else. And it says, we came to the land to which you sent us. It does indeed flow with milk and honey, and here's its fruit. However, the people who are living in the land are powerful, and the towns are fortified and very large. Besides, we saw descendants of the Anakim there. Amalekites live in the region of the Negeb, Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites dwell in the highlands, and Canaanites along the sea and the banks of the Jordan. So these are all the tribes that basically the Lord, like, mentions, like, in the last, like, ever since it was prophesied that the Israelites were gonna, like, basically inhabit this land. It was also said that, like, they shouldn't follow the people of these lands because they're gonna be the ones that they conquer, like the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Canaanites. And, you know, like, the Israelites were instructed time and time again to not follow in their actions and, like, their forms of worship because they're against the Lord, obviously. And then, so basically, so that's the report so far. And it says, Caleb, however, quieted the people before Moses and said, we ought to go up and seize the land, for we can certainly prevail over it. But the men who had gone up with him said, we cannot attack these people, they are too strong for us. They spread discouraging reports among the Israelites about the land they had scouted, saying, the land that we went through and scouted is a land that consumes its inhabitants, and all the people we saw there are huge. We saw the Nephilim in our own eyes, and we seemed like mere grasshoppers, and so we must have seemed to them. So Nephilim are like these giant people, basically. Like, I don't want to say titans because they're not that big probably, but like they're giants essentially. And so notice how Caleb is the one that says we need to go seize this land because it's goated, basically. Like it's good land. And like he's not fearful of these people, but the rest of the men that went to scout, they're basically just fear-mongering all the Israelites and saying that they have no chance, And that's going to be a big mistake because they have no faith. They basically think that they had no chance to conquer these lands, basically. So chapter 14 is titled Threats of Revolt. And so basically when the whole community heard this, they basically just start like complaining and crying, and they say, all the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron, the whole community saying to them, if only we had died in the land of Egypt, or if only we would die here in the wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us into this land only to have us fall by the sword? Our wives and little ones would be taken as spoil. Would it not be better for us to return to Egypt? And so they said to one another, let us appoint a leader and go back to Egypt. That is insane, bro. These Israelites obviously just never learn. I don't know why they're so obsessed with going back to Egypt and becoming slaves. And then it says, but Moses and Aaron fell prostrate before the whole assembled community of Israelites, while Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, so those are the two people that went to go scout that didn't lose faith, who had been among those that scouted the land, tore their garments, and said to the whole community of Israelites, the land which we went through and scouted is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord. You need not be afraid of the people of the land, for they are but food for us. Their protection has left them, but the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. So, these guys are basically begging the community to not lose faith. And they've already messed up, right? Like, they already messed up. So basically the whole community after this threatens to stone Moses, Aaron, and the two guys who didn't lose faith when scouting. But the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the Israelites, and the Lord said to Moses, how long will this people spurn me? How long will they not trust me despite all the signs I have performed among them? I will strike them with pestilence and disown them. Then I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. And so the Lord's ready to just get rid of all the Israelites except for Moses and the two, like Moses, Aaron, and the two that didn't lose faith. But Moses comes in clutch again, and he kind of repeats what he said last time when the Lord, because I don't know if you remember when they made the golden calf, the Lord was like, all right, bro, I'm wiping out and restarting with you, Moses. But then Moses was like, well, what is Egypt going to think? What are all these people going to think of you when they hear that you basically, it's going to sound like you couldn't do what you said you were going to do and that you just wiped out your people. So it says, the Egyptians will hear of this, for by your power you brought out this people from among them. They will tell the inhabitants of this land who have heard that you, Lord, are in the midst of this people. You, Lord, who directly revealed yourself, your cloud stands over them. If you slay this people all at once, the nations who have heard such reports of you will say, the Lord was not able to bring his people into the land he swore to give them. That is why he slaughtered them in the wilderness. Now then, may my Lord's forbearance be great, even as you have said, the Lord is slow to anger and abounding in kindness, forgiving iniquity and rebellion, yet certainly not declaring the guilty guiltless, but punishing children to the third and fourth generation for the parents' iniquity. Pardon then the iniquity of this people in keeping with your great kindness, even as you have forgiven them from Egypt until now. So basically he's repeating how like the Lord had basically said, like, he will punish the children to the third and fourth generation for their parents, disobedience, unfaithfulness. But if they're faithful, he's going to bless them until the 1,000th generation. So it's just like, he's basically like saying like, you're the one who said that you're slow to anger and you're merciful, basically. And so the Lord answers Moses and says, I pardon them as you have asked, yet by my life and the Lord's glory that fills the whole earth, of all the people who have seen my glory and the signs I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and who nevertheless have put me to the test 10 times already and have not obeyed me, not one shall see the land which I promised on oath to their ancestors. None of those who have spurned me shall see it. So basically, all the people who were like, I'm pretty sure it's all the men and women above the age of 20 that were like, yeah, let's just go back to Egypt. Let's stone Moses and like our leaders and just the ones that lost faith, basically. They're not going to see this land that's flowing with milk and honey, basically. Like, they're all going to be wiped out in the wilderness, just like they had asked for. But then the Lord says, but as for my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and follows me unreservedly, I will bring him into the land which he entered, and his descendants shall possess it. So when I say basically all the people's children, they're going to inherit the land as well, because, they're just children. They shouldn't be like bearing the punishment of their parents. So So the Lord also said to Moses and Aaron, "How long will this wicked community grumble against me? I have heard the grumblings of the Israelites against me. Tell them, by my life, I will do to you just what I have heard you say. Here in the wilderness your dead bodies shall fall. Of all your men of 20 years or more enrolled in your registration who grumbled against me, not one of you shall enter the land where I solemnly swore to settle you, except for Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun." So that's why I said you should only remember Caleb and Joshua, because they're the only ones that actually make it to this land flowing with milk and honey. It says, "Your little ones, however, who you said would be taken as spoils, I will bring in, and they shall know the land that you rejected. But as for you, your body shall fall here in the wilderness, while your children will wander for 40 years, suffering for your infidelity, till the last of you lies dead in the wilderness, corresponding to the number of days you spent scouting the land, 40 days. You shall bear your punishment 1 year for each day, 40 years. Thus you will realize what it means to oppose me." So I'm not sure who's bearing the punishment here, but for every day that they scouted, it's a year worth of punishment, basically, that either the children were gonna have to deal with or the people were gonna have to deal with. But you're gonna see what happens to the people in just a sec. "I, the Lord, have spoken, and I will surely do this to this entire wicked community that conspired against me. Here in the wilderness they shall come to their end, and there they will die." And the men whom Moses had sent to scout the land, and who on returning had set the whole community grumbling against him by spreading discouraging reports about the land, these men who had spread discouraging reports about the land were struck down by the Lord and died. Okay, so the men who scouted the land came back and then started fear-mongering. They're out like that. Like, they're done, all right? As for the rest of the Israelites that followed suit with those negative reports, they're going to be the ones facing the punishment, I'm pretty sure. So, and then it says, "Only Joshua and Caleb of the people that scouted survived of all the men who had basically been struck down, of all the scouts that had been struck down." And so the last part of this chapter is called the unsuccessful invasion. And it says, "When Moses repeated these words to all the Israelites, the people mourned greatly. Early the next morning they started up high into the hill country, saying, 'Here we are, ready to go up to the place that the Lord spoke of, for we did wrong.' But Moses said, 'Why are you now transgressing the Lord's order? This cannot succeed.'" So now the people are like, "Oh, we're sorry. Like, we're ready to go try and conquer this land." And then the Moses is like, why are you trying to go do it now? Like, you didn't have faith when you were supposed to. And Moses tells the people, he says, "Do not go up, because the Lord is not in your midst. Do not allow yourself to be struck down by your enemies." He's like, the Lord is not with you right now, so you are not protected from this land, like all the people inhabiting this land. And basically it says, "For the Amalekites and Canaanites will face you, and you will fall by the sword. You have turned back from following the Lord, therefore the Lord will not be with you." Yet they dared to go up the hill into the high country, even though neither the ark of the covenant of the Lord nor Moses left the camp. And the Amalekites and Canaanites who dwelt in that hill country came down and defeated them, beating them back as far as Hormah. So they didn't listen to Moses, and they continued to try and take ownership of the land that was previously promised to them. And they obviously failed because Moses and the Lord were not in their midst. So yeah, two very interesting chapters to read, honestly. Very entertaining in my opinion. And yeah, the Israelites just never learn, bro. Like, how do you see all these signs and these miracles where, like, you're basically untouchable when you're faithful, and then you still lose faith? But who am I to speak? But yeah, so two interesting chapters. It's 12:50 right now, so I do need to get to bed because I have to wake up at 6:30. So but I think I should be able to just chill tomorrow for the most part. I think I have an exam due on Sunday, but it should be a pretty easy exam. What else? I think that's it for now. So if you're watching, or slow down, Asus. Here's the macros for the day. And yeah, now if you're watching this, thank you very much. I appreciate it immensely. And yeah, like if you want, comment if you want, and subscribe if you want. And I will see y'all tomorrow for day 62, I believe. Goodbye.